So I have like these different sides of me. I'm feeling like what's too personal. I'm starting to feel like I'm going over my own boundaries and what's too personal, and I feel like I have that side, and also like telling everything that's happening and stuff. It's not only my story. And so I feel like on the one hand, like I'm going over boundaries. And then on the other hand, I have this thought that this is important, this is above me. It's important to document it. So I have like this, and this is something I'm letting go of. This is part of the letting go. Is that, okay, this afternoon when I was at my sister's, I was thinking, okay, I'll go to, well, I did a video about it where I was on my way already home, and I was thinking I would go to the spring next to the house. And then I thought I would go to the hot springs. So I went to the hot springs, and then on the way home, I still didn't go by the spring. I was thinking I would stop in. I even filled air in my tires, and then I thought, no, I'll go home and make food for my boys. And so when I got home, I started making food, and he wrote me that he was at the spring, and if I wanted to come and we could have dinner together. There were so many lessons that I got. Some of it is I'm not gonna say because I started making a video before about it, but I feel like it's too personal, and I erased the video. This is part of me opening up. So there's, a lot that I put out, and I feel like I put out on the line, but there are still places in me that I'm still working out, and there's still places in me that I feel vulnerable in, and there are places that I just feel like they're private. So in those places, I think I'm just going to go by feeling. So I told him that I can't come because I'm making dinner for my boys, which is true. And just no matter how I looked at the clock, it didn't work. I have to go in later to Tiberias and pick up my son, and it just didn't work any way I looked at it. And I invited him if he wanted to come by, and he said not to mix, events together, and I agreed with him. But so there's two sides of me. See, there's the side that feels like if I wouldn't have gone to the hot springs, I would have gone with what I was feeling at that moment, where I was already headed on the way. I could have seen him and came home in time to make dinner for my boys. So if I would have listened to my inner intuition and what made sense, also mind-wise, I would have gone to, and I would have gotten to see him at least for a little while. So then there's this part that comes up in me that's like, that feels like almost sickened. Like, I don't want to say that. Okay, I'm watching my words. So there's a part that I'm letting go. You know, the part that feels like you missed out on something. There's no room for that in life. There's no room for that. And I am beginning to really trust that what is mine is mine. And this connects in so many different ways, because it connects to that book too, where the book was saying that you can't just wish it into being, you also have to reach for it. So you have to take action. So you can't just stand static and expect everything, but at the same time, you also have to let go. So it's kind of like a paradox thing. So there's a part of me that feels empowered and enabled, and you know, I was put into a situation where where I turned him down, you know, where I'm always the chasing party, and here he offered me, and I turned him down because of my boys, my children. There were so many other lessons that I got today. Family. It feels like today's theme is family. Lessons in family. Lessons in following my intuition, and lessons in letting go, and lessons in I miss him. See, the rational part, the 3D part says, yeah, it doesn't make sense, you know, if you know, in this plane, yeah, it's not like, you know, if somebody wants to move towards me, they'll move towards me. And then I feel like, well, there's lessons here in intuition. It's like there's this other playing field that is on the higher plane, where it's intuition and telepathy. And following the signs. And that on that plane, it's like he's teasing me and teaching me lessons along the way. When I make a choice, then I get all these different perspectives. And a lot of times, as soon as I make the choice, like, anymore, the lesson is almost instantaneously. And I get it in myself. Like, as soon as it resonates, it's like, oh. I see. But then it's always paradoxical. It's always itself and the opposite true at the same time. Like there's lots of different ways to see things. Yeah, if you didn't have a life story, your life story is what happens to you along the way, and you have like this all stored in your brain, like your own history, right? But let's say if you had no sound and somebody was watching from above, right, and there was no sound, it would just be a massive body moving around from place to place. There is no story. It's just like a cow. You know, you can make a story up about a cow, but you don't really know a cow's story. It's the story we make of it. Think about people that get amnesia. They get amnesia and their whole story disappears. Up till then, all they were was, you know, this being moving from place to place doing different things. You know, if you take the story off of it, all it is movement. And I still can't help but feel like I miss him. I know, whatever, blah, 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 but I miss him. And I feel like I'm being tested all over the place, too. This twin flame journey it like wakes up all your sleeping parts. All of a sudden you're seeing the paradox of yourself. You're seeing it's like seeing your opposite self almost. Where your weaknesses are their strengths, or their strengths or your strengths are their weaknesses. And it's like it's not absolute. It's like two beings of the same it's like he's shining light on all of the places. And in a previous video I was saying, or probably a few, that I feel like even though I found him, I feel like he found me way before I found him, and he was just on the side or something. And then I felt like almost mad that he came into my life, but then afterwards I was thinking, yeah, if it's like I feel that he's been in my life a lot longer. It's like I can almost feel like, feels like years. And if that's true, then I was saved the agony while he endured it. Because there's a bliss in not knowing. And during that time, I was on my own personal rising, you know, coming out of the alcoholism, and I had some trials with ayahuasca. And I feel like he had something to do with that. I don't know on what level, but I feel like he had something to do with all of that. And then in that place, it's, how could I be mad? Well, let's say it this a different way. I adore him for that. It's also like sacrificial. I feel like he's waiting on me. There's a drawing that I drew a few years ago before I met him in the physical world, and it's just that. It's just that. It's a man sitting on an island of paradise, and there's couples all around, like and then the man is by himself, and then there's a woman on a burning match in the ocean, and the ocean's going, and there's all these signs pointing towards the man on the island, and she's holding on to the match and won't let go. And that I drew a few years ago, and it feels like that. Okay, well, I'm going to stop this here.